Our next inductee is a guy who is probably the ultimate hot rodder, who did it all himself, his own way, and is still doing it. He's a young fella. Now he used to be a young fella. He's from Connecticut, and you might know him as Ronnie Roadster. I'm talking about Ron San Giovanni.
Yay!
Grew up down in the New Haven, Connecticut area, and then just fell in love with hot rods, to the dismay of his parents and even his brothers. His brothers were into old cars. Ronnie was into old cars that went faster than they were supposed to. The funny thing with Ronnie, he's still doing it with flatheads. Should have brought a clipboard. He started out with a 44 coupe. When he found on the street, stole it.
Really?
Well, sort of stole it, because the next car he had was another 44, and he sprung $25 for that one. And he hasn't changed. He was always a flathead guy. He always did it his own way, like I said, and he doesn't seem to care about how everybody else does it. How many guys do you know that drive flatheads converted to Arden overheads back and forth to California from Connecticut and still think they're sane? He loves his flatheads. He also had a Woody, but he hasn't had one of those in quite a while. He had a 54 panel truck, and he took the flathead out of that and just dissected it and rebuilt it just to learn about it. Most of this information came from his beautiful wife, Laura, who he met in the early 70s. She was 6 at the time. They met in a back street behind an airport where they used to drag race at night. Can't relate to that. In 72, he had a tea bucket and then a 51 Mercury, but he always wanted a 32 Ford Roadster. Duh. Well, he finally got one. A lot of you old-time street riders knew Artie Johnson. He used to hang around the Connecticut, Rhode Island area. Artie told Ronnie about a roadster body. Wow, how's that for service? Thanks to Al Grillo, I have a clipboard. If I had a good left arm. Anyway, Artie told Ronnie about a 32 Roadster that was down the street. They went down, took a look at it, along with his buddies. It was in Easton, Connecticut, not to be confused with Easton, Mass, where Elsa Greeny lives. He sold his Mercury, they kept the engine out of it, got enough money to buy that 32 Roadster. He put it in a rented garage and then slowly started putting it together. In that particular time, even though he was learning about flatheads, he paid to have somebody rebuild the engine, but Ronnie watched and learned as it went along. Then he started learning about superchargers. He says, wow, that'll make me go faster, I'll have to have one of those. Has that racing mentality again. The Roadster's been through a whole lot of changes over the years, but most everyone in this room knows it as the baby blue one, the same one that's sitting in the parking lot right out there. He painted it yellow for a while before it was blue. Glad to see you came to your senses. My apologies to anybody here with a yellow hook road. But then the big changes came. He heard about these Arden heads developed by a guy named Sora Arcus Duntov. Where did I hear that name before? He had to have a set of these heads. And he got one. His buddy his buddy Pete, and his best friend Mike, went all the way to Norwich, Connecticut. Imagine that, finding a set of Arden heads a couple towns away. His buddy Mike already had an Arden, so now the chase was on. They really had to get this thing up to snuff. My apologies for kind of blowing this, but I prefer a little more continuity usually. Now the trick was, to get these ardent heads, Ronnie had to come up with $5,000. And we're not talking 2015, we're talking many, many years ago. So he went back home, and he had a kid growing up and his wife to feed. And he says, Laurie, I get a chance to get this it was $5,000. She said, get him, you idiot! That's the kind of wife we all need, right, guys? He got into the car, got a 671 blower, rebuilt that, went through the ardent heads, rebuilt that, and in the early 70s, he started driving it around. Now, there aren't a lot of guys you can go to in Connecticut to find out how to make an ardent go back together. Ronnie's been doing it on his own. He's done all kinds of modifications to the car to make it reliable as well as go fast. And in fact, in 2006, he drove it to the LA Roadster Show and back without a single issue. That's not the end of the story, though. Because after that, he started to get into land speed racing. Did I mention he was doing a little drag racing earlier, too? He just came back from the Ohio Mile last weekend.
Yesterday.
The son of a gun set another record. He took his old Lakester, turned it into a modified roadster, and went 172 miles an hour in it with a supercharged flathead. His real name is, go ahead. His real name rolls off the tongue real easily, Ron San Giovanni, but we all know him as Ronnie Roadster, and he's the newest inductee into the Tie Rods, Hot Rods, and Racers Hall of Fame. Come on up, Ronnie. Never at a loss for words, is Ronnie.
First of all, I want to thank the Tie Rods for doing this, for Gil Kareem for saying everything he did, for my wife Laura to put up with me for an awful long time. We've had a hell of a lot of nice things we've done. We've gone cross country in our off-rod. This August, we're going to Bonneville with our modified roadster, and we're never going to look back. We're going to grow. Doing this stuff's kept me young. I don't feel old at all. Hot run's the best thing to do, and thanks to everybody who's here.
You are young, Ronnie.